on the floor, fetal position in the dark, bawling my eyes out. And I Googled, why is my boyfriend bullying me? Because I didn't know any other vernacular other than he's such a bully. He's so mean every day. He's so mean to me.
Hello, and welcome to the Big 4-0 podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie McLaughlin. In our 20s and 30s, we spend so much time and energy striving for success and checking all the boxes. But it's usually according to some outside authorities, standards, or approval. Then, in the years around age 40, many of us start to redefine who we are, what success means, and what we want out of life. We learn to have more confidence in our own authority and experience, and our life adjusts accordingly. Or we ignore it all and deal with the repercussions of not evolving. It's not always a smooth process. I know I fought against the transition, which made getting through it a messier process than it had to be. On this podcast, I welcome you to tap into my stories and experience, as well as those of my guests, to help you make your way through your own transition and maybe even avoid some of the mistakes we made along the way. Today, my guest is Sabrina Victoria, who faced years of hardship before a single moment of clarity, the result of a Google search, set her on a new path. Her midlife journey is about unlearning old patterns, claiming her choices, and stepping fully into her own power. Hi, Sabrina. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Oh my God, it's such my pleasure. We were introduced by our mutual friend, Laura Ballet, who was on my show a few months ago. And you and I have talked a couple of times, and it's such a great introduction. So thank you, Laura, if you're listening.
Yes, girl. Get those intros.
Absolutely. Friends making friends. It's awesome. So I want to talk to you about your midlife transition. And yours is interesting because when we were first talking, there was sort of some obvious transitionary period in your life, very outward transition, an abusive relationship, which you were able to get yourself out of. But when I pressed you further, you went, oh, wait, there's some more transition after that, more internal transition that I'm very interested to get into, because the thing about this age 40-ish area transition is there can be so much outward transition that we're then distracted by kind of what's going on inside. And that really came up in our original conversation. So I'm excited to explore that a little bit today. But let's start at the beginning. Tell me a little bit about your background and the forces that shaped you into who you were in your early 20s.
Yeah, 100%. So raised as a Jehovah's Witness. My parents were actually converted old school way, door to door,
Wow.
which is crazy. Yeah. Anyways, led my life all the way through to 20 in that religion. I got pregnant at that age and I wasn't married. So you or anyone listening knows what that means. Jehovah's Witnesses are very strict. So I got what's called disfellowshipped, which means everyone you've ever known your whole life drops you.
Wow.
So when I needed community the most, right? I'm 20 years old. I'm just becoming an adult. I have no clue what I'm doing. Led a very sheltered life. Jehovah's Witnesses only talk to Jehovah's Witnesses. So very sheltered, very naive. And I got fellowshipped, lost communication with everyone I'd ever known, including my closest family. And I led a stereotypical single mom, just broke life.
Yeah. Wow.
Awful. Yeah.
And after you had your son, you told me you went a little crazy for a little while.
Yeah, I ended up getting sober. I've actually been sober for probably close to 20 years at this point.
Yeah.
I had my son when I was 21 years old. My 21st birthday, I was pregnant. And so I wanted to explore drinking. Not to say I hadn't drank before that, but anyways, yeah, I did. I fell off the rails. I'm going to use the excuse of also just like so lost.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
Just like so lost, eager for attention, for like anybody to freaking pay attention to me because I had so few connections at that point.
Yeah.
And yeah, I actually probably by the time my son was maybe 6 months ish, I don't know the date.
Yeah.
I was with my boyfriend. He handed me a rum and Coke, which was my drink back then. He's like, here you go. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to drink that tonight. And he was like, okay. And he drank it himself. And then the next night, right, I'm waking up without a hangover. I'm feeling good. I'm still having fun. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Right. And I all of a sudden became a better mom. I'm not like having a hangover with my boy.
Right.
And so, yeah, I was like, let me just get my shit together
Yeah.
and stayed sober for a while. And then there's a point in everyone's sobriety journey where you're like, do I go back? I'm good. Or
Right.
should I not go back?
I think I can
And it,
handle it.
yeah. And at a certain point, right? I don't know, it's maybe a year in.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I got a year. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me see what I can do. And I don't know, let's do another year. Who
Yeah.
cares?
Yeah.
And yeah, here we are about 20 years later. My son's about to be 21. So somewhere around here. And
Congratulations. That's amazing.
yeah, it feels really good.
Yeah. So tell me about the man on the white horse. Was that the boyfriend when your son was 6 months? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he comes riding into your life. You had been, again, excommunicated from your world. You were kind of off the rails, no structure, no community. And he rides in and says, I will take care of you both. Tell me a little bit about that relationship.
Yeah. It probably took about, everyone always asks, like, when did you know that he was like not good? And it was like the first day.
Really?
It was the first day. Yeah. Honestly. I just was so desperate, like I
Yeah.
said. And this guy was paying attention to me and he was taking me out. The the toxicity from day one was so bad. The actual, like, real abuse didn't happen until I moved in with him. And
Okay.
that didn't happen until probably my son was maybe a year and a half.
Okay.
So that's basically what happened. My lease was coming up. I couldn't afford jack shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, why don't you just move in with me? Can't afford your place. You just keep house. I was like, dude, yeah.
This is a
Right.
deal.
I know everything was presented as a gift. So I move in 6 months later. He's like, hey, why don't you just quit your job? Your job sucks. Come work for me. We'll build an empire together. Right. Another gift. I was too shy, naive, just codependent to ask for money. Right. We never discussed pay.
Right.
So
So
I
come
start
work for
working.
me.
Yeah.
Right.
I start working. I'm just thinking, like, yeah, I'll make about the same. He paid me. So I was making 800. This was a long time ago,
Of
granted.
course.
800 every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
He was paying me 400 every 2 weeks. So basically,
Because of course he's also providing room and
exactly.
board.
And that's what he said. He's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm providing you your house, your utilities. So it's about the same. And I agreed. I'm like, you know what? Cool. That's fine.
Yeah.
I was working 14 to 16 hours, not 8 hours a
Right.
day, and building this empire for us. Right.
Yeah.
I can't afford anything. Right. Because in my old job, I still couldn't afford anything. So it didn't matter if it made any sense. Like, I still couldn't afford anything. Like that
Mhm.
extra 400 that would have gone towards rent or whatever else. I'm still paying for daycare. I'm still paying for my car. I'm still paying for my phone. I'm still paying for insurance. I'm still paying for food,
Yep.
toilet, all the things, right?
Yep.
So I'm
Yeah.
still negative. I'm broke. But now
Yeah.
at least I don't have to worry about getting kicked out of my place.
Right.
And so I went to him one day. I'm like, dude, my credit cards are racked up. I have a 500 credit score right now. I'm drowning with this $200 a week you're giving me.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh my, I'm sorry about that. Just throw everything away and just put everything under my name. So, like, get rid of your phone, put your phone under my name, get rid of your car, put your car under my name." And it's gifts, right? It's just like,
Yeah.
dude, I got you. Let's
Right. I'll
go,
take
run
care of
through.
you. Yeah.
And so he's running my phone now, full access. He's running my car now, full access. And as he gained more and more control, it just got worse and worse.
Mm.
Mental, emotional, sexual, financial abuse, everyday name calling, stupid, dumb, idiot, every swear word you could possibly think of, including all the derogatory things you call a woman.
Yeah.
And yeah, this was all the way until I hit, 30s,
Yeah. Yeah.
and no idea what was going on. He had me convinced that I was just the worst girlfriend on the face of the planet.
Right.
I'm dumb. I'm an idiot. If only I was smarter, prettier, better, more organized, then he wouldn't be suffering. He wouldn't be where he is, even though I was running his whole company.
Yeah.
We doubled, tripled, quadrupled in sales. We
Wow.
expanded the offices. Yeah, we went from one office in Chicago to 6 offices over 4 different states.
What kind of business was it?
We were doing sales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're 30-ish at this point, and bizarrely, Google saved your life. Tell me about that.
Yes. I love telling this story because it is just like burned into my memory. And I almost view it as like above myself. Like
Yeah.
I can see myself. And dude, I had a breakdown. And I'm sure there's people listening that have had it, maybe even yourself. I lost my mind.
Mhm.
I was yelling, I was screaming, I was crying like a psychopath on the floor of the bathroom in the dark, like death was pouring out of me. Awful. I can still see it. Like I can still feel it. Like,
Yeah.
oh, emotion just rises up in me when I think about it. And I hated my life. I hated the guy I was with. I wanted to die. And I pulled out my phone out of my back pocket. I'm on the floor, fetal position in the dark,
Mhm.
bawling my eyes out. And I lifted my phone and I can barely see because the bright light in my eyes, I could barely see. And I
Yeah.
Googled, why is my boyfriend bullying me? Because I didn't know any other vernacular other than he's such a bully. He's so mean every day, so mean to me. And that's when the whole world of narcissism, codependency, empathy, boundaries, financial fortitude just hit me right in the face. And I recognized two things. I recognized there was a shit ton wrong with my partner.
Mhm.
And I also realized there was a shit ton wrong with me.
Sure.
And it was a total epiphany. And I am so grateful for that day.
Yeah. Well, it exposed you to an entirely new language.
Yeah.
You had no language for what had been happening to you, and it, other than it was your fault
Yeah.
and you deserved it and you were a bad person, which none of those things were true. And so opening up that world to that new language must have been, oh, actually, was it a positive in that, like, oh my God, there's hope? Or was it, oh my God, there's so much there to learn. I don't even know where to start. Do you know what I
I was
mean?
so excited.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I literally, whenever, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, but
Yeah.
whenever somebody tells me, like, I'm trying to say this as like lightly as possible, that they've been sad for a long time. Let's just put it that way. In my mind, I'm like, dude, you can flip that if
Yeah.
you wanted to, because I was dying in sadness that day,
Yeah.
externally and internally.
Yeah.
And within moments of skimming that Google search and just a couple of just little swipes of articles, I sat up. All that sadness left my body. And I all of a sudden felt so informed and so powerful and so educated within 60 seconds. I was
It's
like, dude, this is it.
it's the dawning of hope.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Finally, I realized I'm not insane.
Yeah.
It's not me. I mean, it is, right? Because I had stuff to work on too.
Of
But
course.
like total epiphany. And in that moment, in that exact same moment, minutes apart, I started making a plan to get the F out of that house.
Tell me a little bit about the
Immediately
plan.
took my power back.
Yeah.
Yeah. First thing I did was I wrote down my money.
Okay.
I just freaking wrote it all down. I had no money,
Yep.
but I wrote it down. However much, $17, whatever it
Mhm.
was, how much money I make. And then I was like, how much money do I need to get out of this hellhole? So I started looking up places because you have to know where you're going, right?
Yeah.
Like you can make a plan, but your plan could fall super short if you don't even know where you're going.
Mhm.
So I had to be like realistic of like, what do I need? Right? I need a car, right? This is this guy's car. I don't even have a car anymore. He had me sell it.
Mhm.
So I had to look up housing. I had to look up cars, all the things that he's taking care of. How much is it to get out of here? and I had to write down what that would be total per month, per quarter, per year, and then I knew how much that was. So then I was like, "Okay, how the F do I make this much money
Right.
so that I can get out?" And so I started Googling. My first Google search towards my freedom was something to the effect of at-home mom businesses.
Yeah.
I was a working mom, but, like, I needed it to be something I could do under the radar, at home, quietly. So, yeah, there's thousands of things to do. So, I picked up just ones that were super easy. eBay was my very first one.
Hmm.
I love telling this story because it just shows the lack of financial fortitude I had. So, the first thing that I did was eBay. I opened up account. It's called Sales Fly. And I started listing my son's books, right? Super inconspicuous. I can easily just sit in my son's room like we're playing, take a few pictures of books, load them up,
Hmm.
and start selling them. My goal was 5 a day. I had to list 5 books a day until I got to the end of it. Anyways, very first book I sold was How to Give a Mouse a Cookie. Yeah, I had it for sale for like $2.59 on a bid, right? Well, so it was probably for like $2 and then it bid out at like 250. The amount of excitement that I had that day was like indescribable. I
Yeah.
still remember. I still remember like the hope. I was like, I'm gonna fucking do this.
Yeah.
I can do this.
Yeah.
Then, and I tell this story because there's so much sadness in life.
Hmm.
I wrap it up and I go to the post office to send it. Yeah. And it was like $2.80.
To mail it.
And I remember like within 24 hours, I went from like beast,
Yeah.
boss babe, freedom
Yeah.
to absolute defeat.
Yeah.
But the difference is, see, this is where people get hung up. The difference is that I went back home. I was so sad. And I educated myself on what the fuck with the shipping.
Right.
I went in and I changed all the shipping accordingly. And then the next one I did, I made $2.
Right.
And the next one I did, I made $3. And the next one I did, I made $10. And the next one I did, I made $2.
Yeah.
And before I know it, $100
Right.
because I didn't give up,
Yeah.
and that's so much of so many people's stories is they get so excited, like, oh, it's going to work. And then there's a freaking big ass hiccup that just smacks you in the face. And then you're like, F this.
Yeah. And you sit down.
Yeah.
You don't get back up.
And you're like, I'm not doing this. And you just leave the store. You just
Yeah.
leave it, delete it, and you walk away. This isn't going to work. I have to find something else.
Yeah.
But we have to keep educating ourselves on how to do it better in all things.
Yes. So eBay wasn't your only business that you started, right?
Yeah.
And this was, again, this was all in secret. This was under the radar.
Absolutely.
You had secret bank accounts, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I opened a secret bank account across town, and that's where all my money was flowing to. And yeah, I didn't even look at it. I don't know if anyone here listening knows who Lisa Nichols is.
I don't know that name.
Lisa Nichols. So when I was on this journey, one of the things that I would do is I would listen to personal development YouTube videos all day, every day. I had my headphones in all day, every day. My guy probably thought I was listening to music, but I was listening to people in my ear tell me that anything is possible and I can do anything I want and I can do it.
Yeah.
Lisa Nichols tells a story similar. Single mom, boyfriend went to jail, struggling. She had epiphany similar to mine. I don't exactly remember the exact story. But at one point, she's like, I need to save for my dream. I don't know what my dream is, but I need to save for my dream.
Mm-hmm.
So what she would do is when she got her paycheck, she would like split it, or something
Yeah.
between accounts. She had one account, she would pay herself in a check to another account. And in the memo of the check, she'd write for my dream. And she did this like a few times a week. She would just filter money into this other account. In the memo, she always wrote for my dream. Years later, like 3, 4 years later, again, she didn't look at her account. Same. I copied her on that.
Yeah.
And she went into the bank one day. This was a long ass time ago before online even
Yeah.
existed. So she went into the bank and the lady goes, I know you. She's like, what? She's like, you're the for my dream girl.
Oh.
Because every single multiple times a week they would get these checks in that said for my dream. So she goes, what's your dream? She's like, I have no idea what my dream is, but I need to know how much money is in my account. And I don't remember what it was, but it was an insane amount of money for like what she was doing or where she was going, for where she came from.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, I mimicked a lot of that. This is why I think it's so important to tell your story,
Of course.
because people need some
Examples.
steps.
Yeah.
Yeah, some steps. So I
Yeah.
mimicked that exactly. Had money dropping into account. I never looked at it. And then, yeah, one day, 4 years later, 50 grand. Yeah. And I literally just ran away.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hi. We'll get back to the conversation in just a minute. If you're new here, first of all, welcome. And if you've been listening for a while, hey there again. You know, I am a social creature by nature, and I would love to be in touch beyond just the podcast streaming platform. I've got an email series that takes you deeper into the backstory of the show, how it came to be, the 40 Drinks Project, which is what kicked this whole thing off, and the midlife questions so many people wrestle with. It's part personal story, part midlife decoder ring, and part let's just figure this out together. And people tell me it feels like getting a letter from a friend who just kind of gets it. Plus, it might make you feel just a little bit less alone. So go to thebig40.com and click subscribe right in that main navigation. I'd love to have you there. All right, back to the show. So at that point, you're what, 34-ish?
Yeah.
Okay. And the interesting thing is, this is usually when this midlife journey story starts, right? This 35 to 45 period. And now you have already had
So much.
15 years, 14 years of drama and transition, and you've already begun your personal growth journey and somewhat your healing journey as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you go upon a healing journey while you're still in the situation?
Dude. This is going to sound a little crazy, but this is the truth. I was two totally different people.
Mm-hmm. I get it. I can envision it. You're the person he knows.
Yeah.
And then over here, you're building a new person.
Yeah. It felt all cards on the table. It felt for a good person, right? I am a good person.
Mm-hmm.
For a good person, this was so uncomfortable.
Sure.
Because I was straight up being deceiving.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it was the only way to survive. It was the only way to get out.
Yep.
So yeah, I knew I had totally educated myself on narcissism. I knew exactly what they needed to survive.
Mm-hmm.
So I totally became an actress. He would say mean things to me. I would have to cry.
Yeah.
I would have to act like a total psychopath. In my head, knowing I don't give a fuck about this guy.
Yep.
I don't give a F about any of this. So he'd push me, not physically. He never hit me physically, but
Yeah.
And I would let it roll. I'd act tough. I did the same thing, right? You have to, you're chill for a little while, but then they keep poking at you until you break.
Mm-hmm.
So in my head, I'd be like, frick, I gotta play this role because this is what he's looking for. And so I'd have a total breakdown, crying, yelling. And then on this other side, right, at night when he's watching whatever, the news, sports, whatever he's doing, I'm at my freaking computer building my empire. Yeah. I'm freaking making money. I'm making moves. I'm wrapping things secretly, putting them in bags, throwing them in my trunk, freaking building a whole nother life for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was hard. It was
Yeah.
hard because he's telling me that I'm a dumbass every day, that I'm insignificant. I don't have a college education. So he'd be like, "You're not even college educated.
Yeah.
Like who's going to want you? You're a single mom. You have no money and no college education.
Hmm.
Like, dude, you don't even have a right to have an opinion."
Yeah.
So I'm getting this every day while also listening to Lisa Nichols tell me that your dreams can come true.
Yeah.
And then it was hard,
Yeah. That's a lot of cognitive
incredibly hard.
dissonance there to balance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I want to say, Stephanie, I tell this story like, oh yeah, I saved 50 grand. It took me, girl, no. There was so many ups and downs. He found out I was saving at one point. There was so much drama with me saving this money. It was insane.
So
It
he
was not,
ultimately did find out about the money.
yeah. Yeah, I
And
had 13,000 saved. I guess that's what I said earlier was kind of a lie. So 2 years in, I saved 13,000. I was looking at my bank account. I was so excited. He was coming up the stairs behind me and he goes, or I think in my head, I want him to see this because
mm,
he's always telling me I'm so stupid and I can't do anything.
right.
Like I freaking made $13,000, dude. I'm a freaking genius. I'm a badass, right?
Right.
I know he can't see it though, because like what the frick. So he came up. I closed. I was like, ah. I didn't do it fast enough. I was like consciously and unconsciously fighting with myself. He saw
Yep.
the money, took my computer, threw it across the room. It didn't break, but started swearing at me, telling me I was ungrateful, unloyal, how dare me. He didn't know I was running another business. He thought I was skimming off the top of my checks,
Oh.
off of my $200 a week.
Right.
Yeah, he stopped paying me completely as my punishment for not. It was basically like if you have money to save, you need to be paying bills then. He didn't want me having any money.
It's unbelievable to think that you could be skimming money off your own paycheck.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that what your paycheck is for? But not for somebody who's financially abusing you. Of course not.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, anyways, then I had to save again. Then a year later, my son's father decided he wanted full custody of my son and just stole him.
Oh,
So then I had to fight for full custody. And again, all my money
yeah.
because my abuser didn't pay for that. So all
Right.
that money that I had made again, I started saving again. I'm still trying to like work. Oh my God, it was awful. It was awful.
Oh.
Then my lawyer, right? Sit down with the lawyer, $3,000.
Yep. Before they'll even talk to you.
It was a full year custody, 18 grand, 18 grand. So, dude, it was awful. It
Yeah.
was so hard. But again, back to give a mouse a cookie. You have to just figure it out.
Yeah.
And there was a point where I was like, dude, I can't do this. The universe hates me.
Yeah.
I keep doing all the things. Tony Robbins is telling me to get up every day, be optimistic, don't let anything get you down, show up, work hard. Les Brown is like, everything is possible, nothing is impossible. And I'm over here like, bruh,
Yeah.
I'm doing all the shit you're telling me to do, and it's not working, right? God hates me, the universe, whatever. And there was a point where I was like, I'm just going to have to just put my hands up and this is my life. And I had a conversation. I'm like, dude, women live with abusers. They live with abusers. Just fine. I could live here. I could
Right.
just turn up all my emotions like a robot
Yep.
and just live here. He's not hitting me, right? This is what we always say. It's not hitting me that bad.
Right.
In my case, he wasn't hitting me at all. And he even used to say that.
Right.
You're acting like I'm hitting you.
Right.
Dude. Like I was supposed to be excited about that.
Right.
But yeah, I was in my car one day and I made the decision. I said, you know what? I'm going to keep trying until. And that has always been my key word. Whenever anybody, how long, what, until.
Yep.
You keep going. That's the key
Yeah.
that everyone's missing. Oh, I tried so hard. It didn't work. You didn't do it until.
Right.
If it's for real, if you are for real about building a business, about having the number one podcast, about losing weight, about anything, a relationship, you do it until. There
Mhm.
is no giving up. It's not a thing.
Right.
We all have a choice, right? We all have a choice. But if it's real, you have to do it until. And so that's what I did. I got back up after this whole baby daddy thing. And I was like, I'm not doing this. I have to figure it out.
Mm.
So at that point, I was getting child support.
Hmm.
Plus, my businesses were rolling. I had 4 businesses rolling. And boom, money just came. Year later, I was out.
Wow. So you're out and you've been listening to all these voices in personal growth, personal development space. So you at least know the concepts, and maybe you haven't completely absorbed them yet, or you're not completely living them yet, but you're certainly on your way. Tell me about what your mid 30s look like. You're out of this relationship, you're on your own, you've got these businesses, and you still have some cleanup to do in your own internal space.
Yeah,
What do the next
absolutely.
few years look like?
Absolutely. Full throttle with my business, which is now Her Nation Global. It wasn't that back then. Networking like crazy, very much in my masculine, right?
Right.
Nobody can touch me. Don't look at me. Don't try to get up on me. I make all the rules. I did not want to ever end up in the same situation that I was in before. Everything revolved around money. I was in a lot of lack mindset,
Hmm.
but like healing.
Hmm.
And I ended up at that point in my life, a year or 2 after getting out of that, I ended up in another relationship with a very nice man,
Mm.
a very nice man. And I say it like that because this was a huge turning point leading into my 40s.
Hmm.
That lasted for 6 years. We did end up getting engaged. I broke off the engagement, but we're always learning, right?
Of course.
So I went from a super, super masculine, alpha, toxic. I swung all the way over here to like a feminine, weaker
Hmm.
person. And I didn't realize that at the time, right? Until years later when I'm looking around, I'm like, dude, this is hard.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so tired all the time. I'm making all the rules. I'm doing all the things. I'm making all the decisions, right? I'm always on high alert. I'm doing all the manly things in the masculine energy, 100%
Yeah.
in my business and my personal.
Yep.
And I turn around and I'm like, this is not, no gracias. Got out of that relationship. And right now, as we speak, in my 40s, I am really recognizing my feminine energy,
Yeah.
how healed I am, how so little things trigger me. So little.
Hmm.
Ah, I'm so calm. I'm so relaxed. I breathe. It feels so good.
Yeah.
But so much learning. I mean, so much learning. And the thing that I tell people is I totally could have married that guy. That
Yeah.
guy was very nice to me.
Right.
Yeah, he was kind, he was sweet, he was funny,
Hmm.
but I was not who I was supposed to be in that
Right.
relationship.
Right.
So had to exit that.
Yeah. You described it very well by going from one end of the spectrum all the way to the other.
Yeah.
And really, a healthy place is about balance.
Yeah.
A healthy place is about harmony, is about, I want to use the word equality. It's not necessarily equality, it's more balance. And that's not where you were in that second relationship. You were out on the edge of the spectrum.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So these last
Absolutely.
couple of years, you're swinging back into the middle.
Yeah. Absolutely. And just being more aware of
Yeah.
like authentically, who am I for
Mm.
real?
Mm.
Right? Not who am I with, because sometimes that's what we do.
Hmm.
We kind of chameleon. We're certain people, we're certain, and yes, right? Yes, obviously, like if you're going to a certain sort of atmosphere, you would dress or be a little more different professional than you would
Sure.
maybe if you went to like a baseball game,
Sure.
right? Or if you're going to the park. Like
Yeah.
obviously we're all multidimensional. I'm not like saying you're the same person through and through,
Right.
but ultimately
The
there shouldn't
core.
be huge, drastic
Yeah.
freaking
Yeah.
swings
Yeah.
in who we are. And so, yeah, just really everything that I do now, I'm very intentional with like, wait, do I really want to do this?
Mm.
Do I really want to go here? Do I really want to be here? And allowing myself to say no. Girl, I say no all the time. Never would have been like that in my
Yeah.
earlier years.
Yeah.
Everything was yes. You want me to do this? Yes. You want me to go from one side of town all the way to the other side of town during rush hour traffic? Yes, absolutely no problem. And I have to pick up my son from soccer practice right in the middle of that? Sure, no problem. Right?
Yeah.
Insanity.
So, one of the hallmarks of this transition, sometime around age 40, is that we stop relying on other people's opinions and other people's supposed tos and shoulds. And we realize we have our own experience and we have our own opinions, and we start to gain confidence in those. And so I'm very curious, that relationship you had, that 12 or 13-year relationship, there was somebody always telling you what to think, what to do, right? All of these things. Tell me about how you've built that voice inside of you that you know is yours
Hmm.
and that you know you can trust.
Yeah, this took a long time. There was an epiphany I had probably when I was 35. I'll never forget. I was like shouting this from the rooftop every day when I realized this is going to sound so funny to some of you, and some of you are going to be like, girl, I get this. I had a choice. That's how crazy, right? To some of you that are like, girl, what are you
Right.
even talking about? There's people listening right now that so get that. There are people walking around this world right now. I was one of them that only took the opinion of other people.
Right.
Never, ever knew that they could go against what somebody else freaking told them to do.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea. And when I found that out, girl, I ran with that's when my no started, my no
Yeah.
phase. I don't want to do that. No, thank you.
Yeah.
And it felt so good. I don't want to wear that. I don't want to go there. I don't want to look at that. I don't want to be here. I don't want to eat that. Simple things.
Yeah.
And yeah, huge shift for me is realizing I had a choice.
Yeah. There's unlearning, not just
Yeah.
learning, but
Yeah.
unlearning the patterns, unlearning the foundational things that were programmed into us as very young people. And I'm wondering if, coming from such a strict religious background, if you feel like that had something to do with you maybe not knowing or being able to hear your own voice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only person.
Of course not.
Yeah.
No.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because at a young age, you're told to just sit there and be quiet.
Yeah.
And what we say goes. Always. Don't ever ask. And I remember I was very inquisitive.
Yep.
Why is this? Well, this doesn't quite make sense. No offense to anybody who's religious,
Right.
but like, dude, I had questions and I was not allowed to ask questions.
Right.
There was no asking of questions, no outside thinking.
Yep.
So I just learned very quickly like, we don't question anything, just what an adult says. Anybody who acts like they're in control says goes.
Right.
And so I very quickly was submissive to everybody, even my friends,
Mhm.
Seth. I look back, all of my friends had narcissistic traits. All of them. I'm not saying they're narcissists.
Right.
All of them had narcissistic traits. I went where they went. I did what they did. I followed them like a little sheep.
Yep.
It's so sad when I think about it. Ah,
Yeah.
so sad. But that was me. I was their little sidekick. Anything they said went, anything they wanted to do, I'd pick them up, I'd drop them off, I'd go buy them shit like a little servant.
Yeah.
It was crazy when I think back about it. And they groomed me. They groomed me for my next friend. They groomed me for my next boyfriend. They groomed me for my abuser.
Right. Because it was a
Absolutely.
pattern. that you were
Absolutely.
participating in
Yeah.
over and over again. And you didn't, until you were in your mid 30s, see that there was an off ramp, that there
Yeah.
was a different way, that
Yeah.
you had a choice, right? 35, you had a choice.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's so important for those of you listening to recognize that very rarely is it just all of a sudden you just
Right.
end up in a relationship with somebody who's just punching you in the face. It is a slow progression of relationships that get you there. And so that's all that was. All those little things were just grooming me slowly, just a little worse. So when I got to this dude, I was just like, well, I can deal with this.
Right.
So and so has traits like this, so and so has traits like that. Yeah. Excuses, right? And it always went back to like, I'm strong. I can take it.
Which you clearly are.
Thank you.
You survived it. You came out and you rebuilt yourself. You are clearly strong and
Thank you.
resilient and smart and capable and all of the things.
Yeah, definitely. But it's good to be mindful of that. So for those of you that maybe are in a situation like this, girl, it's not your fault. Like
Correct.
there are relationships that have stemming from your parents, your guardian, stemming from your guardian.
And that is why I always start these conversations with, tell me about the forces that shaped you
Yeah.
to be who you were when our story begins.
Yeah.
Because it's in this time period, this 35 to 45, and these edges are blurry, right? It's whenever you get to it. But that's when you start realizing that there are patterns you're behaving in. And if your life doesn't look the way you want it to, it might not be everybody else. And maybe there's something that you need to figure out about you. And if you're going to do that, you have to figure out where you came from and where you might have picked that up.
Yeah.
And a lot of times those things come to us when we're so young, we don't know formative experiences, the household we grew up in, the family, the culture, the society we grew up in. So it seems silly that I start with, tell me about the forces that shaped you, except that they become what it is going to change when you're somewhere around your 40th birthday.
Absolutely.
Sabrina, this is amazing. Thank you so much for being so generous with your story and sharing all of the ins and outs and the way you got out. I think you've provided such a wonderful illustration coming through adversity and coming out the other side, and then growing,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
then finding yourself and your voice. I really appreciate you sharing the story with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for listening today. One of the most powerful parts of Sabrina's story is the moment she realized she had a choice. That is so important. For decades, her life had been shaped by other people's rules, first in her religious community and her family, her friends even, and then her abuser. And like so many people heading into midlife, she thought she had to keep living according to all those other people's rules and shoulds. But then she had the epiphany. She didn't have to keep doing that. She could choose differently. That shift is available to all of us, and it's one of the most powerful things that happens sometime around our 40th birthday. We begin to recognize our own authority over our lives. This lesson is at the heart of the midlife transition. Sometime around age 40, many of us finally see that our lives don't have to be dictated by expectations, tradition, or the roles we've always played. We get to choose. And often those choices don't have to be giant or dramatic to be transformative. Saying no when you mean no. Saying yes when you mean yes. Choosing rest instead of hustle. Choosing your own voice over someone else's. If you're in the middle of your own transition, take Sabrina's story as permission to pause and notice, where in your life are you still living by someone else's rules? And what could it look like if you chose differently, even in one small way? There's something else I want to highlight from Sabrina's story that I thought was so powerful. And that is Sabrina's mantra of until. Most people give up when they hit setbacks, but she illustrated so well that persistence through false starts and failures and even devastating losses is what actually makes true change possible. And this is what I love so much about these conversations. I could tell you that resilience is important and that you need to keep going until. But having Sabrina illustrate it and make it real is just so much more powerful. So often we give up when change feels too hard or the road ahead looks impossible. Emphasis on looks. But Sabrina showed what's possible when you stay with it, when you keep going until you've broken the cycle, until you've found your voice. That word has the power to change everything. Most of us try things for a while and then it gets hard, or when the results don't come fast enough, we give up. And Sabrina reminds us that the people who make it through real transformation are the ones who stay with it until they've built the courage to leave, until they've rebuilt their sense of self, until the life in front of them finally feels like their own. Real change comes not from how fast you move, but from the fact that you never stopped. So if you're listening today in the midst of your own midlife transition, here's a little reminder. You have choices and you have time. You don't need to get it perfect today. You just need to keep going until. And when you do, you'll be amazed at how far you've come. All right, next time you will meet Denise Lee, who overcame deep emotional barriers, including growing up the child of immigrants and childhood trauma, which led to addictions and attaching her worth to what she saw out there on social media. But after a great deal of hard work, she's learned the context and compassion and is on a much stabler road. I'll see you next time. The Big 4 podcast is produced and presented by Savoir Faire Marketing Communications.